90.3 WHPC now presents Law You Should Know. The law affects every aspect of our lives, our home, our jobs, and our recreational activities. Now, learn about the law and how to protect yourself against the loss of your liberty or property, and learn how to stand up for your rights and seek compensation when you have been wronged. Your host for Law You Should Know is attorney Kenneth J. Landau, a past dean of the Nassau Academy of Law, and frequently lectures to lawyers on ethics and avoiding problems with clients, and to the public on how to choose and use lawyers. This is Law You Should Know on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hi, this is attorney Ken Landau, and welcome to Law You Should Know. Today we'll be discussing how to keep your business going in a pandemic, especially if it's a fashion business. And our special guest is Ann Cantrell, and she's the owner of the Blue Ribbon General Store in downtown Brooklyn. And she also has a big mail order business. And last and not least, she is an associate professor in the Fashion Business and Management Department at the Fashion Institute of Technology in Manhattan, part of the CUNY system. And welcome to Law You Should Know.
Welcome. Yeah, it's actually a SUNY school, not a CUNY school.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
SUNY.
Nice to be here. Yes.
Okay. And you've built up your business and your credentials from nothing, and now you're an established business that's doing well, and you're an authority in the world of fashion and merchandising. And I'd like you to share some of your expertise and what you've been through to help guide business owners who want to start a business or keep a business going during the pandemic. What was your thought behind your goal behind starting the Blue Ribbon General Store? And correct me if I didn't give the title correctly.
Yeah, that's okay. We actually added Annie's Blue Ribbon General Store in there. But we opened 13 years ago in 2007. And Ken was actually one of my first customers. And I was right by the Barclays Center when I first opened. So I think I was on his train walk, and that is how we met. But when I first opened, and I actually had the idea for the store for about 10 years before I opened. I loved visiting. I'm from New Jersey, a rural part of New Jersey, but I loved visiting general stores when I would visit the Northeast and up in Massachusetts and Vermont. There were so many cute general stores, but I love the idea of the uneditedness of it all, if that all makes sense. The curation, but also kind of the fun and function part of it as well. And so I wanted to bring that same idea to city living. The blue ribbon means that it's the best that life has to offer. So rather than going to a big box store where there's tons of options for everything, we're really curating down and editing down to, like I said, the best that life has to offer, everything that wins the blue ribbon. And we try to continue that both in our store. We started in Boerum Hill, Brooklyn, 13 years ago, as I said, and we moved to Park Slope, Brooklyn, and doubled our space about 7 years ago. And it's been a really fun trip ever since. Ups and downs.
And your store has been celebrated in some of the top fashion magazines in New York and around the country because you help people with the shopping experience, and you find unique items that they can give as gifts that will be treasured, or unique items for their home, all on a budget. Yeah,
we were really lucky when we'd only been open for about a year when we were in New York Magazine's Best of New York for best place to get a cheap last minute gift. And nobody's taken that title on since then. So I'm going to stick with that. But and that was at the height of the recession as well. But,
and someone doesn't have to visit downtown Brooklyn, even though you're near Barclays Center, but because you ship all over the world.
We ship around the U.S. right now at blueribbongeneralstore.com. And we started our online presence about 6 months after we opened our physical doors. I actually probably would have just started online. I loved the online platform 13 years ago. It was a rather new concept or so. But now, and especially in the pandemic, it's been something that every business owner really needs to have. So we were really fortunate that we, as I said, launched our website in 2008. And this is our third platform that we've been on. And so I've kind of seen some ins and outs of different platforms. But I am really grateful for that business that makes us not just for the local community, but also the rest of the country as well can be part of our experience.
So with that entrepreneurial bent, what if we have a listener out there, perhaps they're a lawyer or they've lost their job or they need something that helps they feel is more fulfilling. They want to become an entrepreneur too and perhaps start a side business or a new business. What ideas do you have for them? What should they think about in terms of the process or finding a niche?
I think it's a lot of planning. If you don't like your boss or not into your job, then it's not, that's not the reason to do it. It's because you have to be really passionate about it. And it takes a lot of planning and thought. And I spent about 10 years pulling together ideas for the business while I was working in corporate America and trying to figure out what my next move was going to be. But I also appreciated that time in corporate where I gained a lot of experience and in terms of running a business and how to conduct meetings and operate. And that's how we've kept those same kind of ideals, even though we're a small business. So I would say a lot of planning, write a business plan, and not just the written part of the business plan. That's really important, but also the financial part of the plan as well to make sure that you have enough money. There's a lot of resources available out there. You can go to the SBA and they have a template for you. I work with other businesses as a business consultant, and so I'm always sending people there to download that information. And then figure out, well, what is your plan? Who's your target customer? What do you want to sell? What's your mission? Not just your mission, what's your reason for being, but what's the vision of the business as well? And once you get all that together and figure out how much money it's going to cost, then, it's all about measured risks and assessing what's going to be right for you. I actually think right now in the pandemic, people have a lot of time on their hands. I don't, but a lot of people have a lot of time on their hands. But I think it's a really good time to what I call bake your business, right? Think about what those ideas are. Think about what you might want to work on, and get that all going. It takes a while to do that research, and then you'll be ready once things start to reopen, and we'll be ready to thrive in the business world again.
So this is a good time for someone to do that, to take time, to focus, to get feedback from others, to see what exists in the world, what's not, what could be done a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, there's a lot of businesses closing, absolutely. But I also read in the Wall Street Journal, and I can just feel it out there, that a lot of new businesses are coming to be. We're changing the way we buy things. We're changing what we buy. I think there's a lot of opportunity out there. I definitely try to stress that with my students all the time. It might not be the department store, might not be long for this world, but a lot of other variations of what that looks like are really important right now as we pivot in the world.
And right now, people are stuck in their homes, so they're trying to do things to bring unique treatment to their space in their homes. And I'm sure your store and your website have a lot of great ideas for them.
Yeah, early on in the pandemic, I'm my own consumer too, right? So I was thinking, what do I need for my daughter? What do I need for my home? What, is it, things it's going to be a long winter? Is it things that are going to keep us not just calm, like puzzles, but also creative ideas too, like arts and crafts kits and things like that. So, and things that I never thought we would sell. I never thought we would have a huge mask business or, all the other things that hand sanitizer as much as we have. But so we've just all it's always important to think like a customer, and that's at the base of it all.
And even in giving a meaningful gift to someone else or something to create ideas or to distract them from COVID.
Yeah,
your store has unique finds there too.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have. We've been selling a lot of journals, candles, things like that to, spark curiosity and take you away from, the stress of the everyday life right now.
And someone can change their living or workspace if they're working from home to make it a little more user-friendly.
Oh, absolutely. We have a lot of work from home gifts at blueribbongeneralstore.com. Things to buy for yourself, things to buy for others. And one of my favorite new taglines is, we do all the hard work so you don't have to. So again, we're finding the best that life has to offer all under one roof.
And again, as you mentioned earlier, you have carefully selected unique gifts from around the world as you're making it easy for someone to shop and give a reasonable gift, a meaningful gift at a reasonable price.
Absolutely.
And you'll take care of the shipping for them. So I just want to remind our listeners that you're listening to Law You Should Know on 90.3 WHPC, also over the internet at nccradio.org. We're talking to Ann Cantrell, and she is the owner of the Ann's Blue Ribbon General Store in downtown Brooklyn, but also has a giant shipping business all over the country, and you can find unique products on her site. She also is an associate professor at the Fashion Institute of Technology in Manhattan and has been giving courses there on fashion business, on leadership, on product development and trend forecasting. What are some of the topics you cover in your courses that are most valuable to students going into the fashion business during the pandemic and beyond?
Yeah, well, we're really thinking about how different the students' lives are going to be as they enter the workforce, right? Like we said earlier, the typical model, the traditional model used to be you go into an executive development program through Macy's or something like that. Now, I think there's going to be a lot of different options through startups and other maybe smaller brands, and trying new things and different ways of doing things, different business models. So some of my classes have more soft skills like leadership and teamwork and things like that. But we're also, in my sustainability classes, I also talk a lot about the mindset change of the consumer and how we're thinking differently, right? We might not be buying clothes so much in the future. Maybe we're buying secondhand, or we're buying resale, and so or renting our clothes. And so what are a lot of thought about the ethical business models, the triple bottom line. So not just talking about profitability, but also the people in our supply chain, the planet, and really coming to terms with what the future of business as a force for good might look like. And then in product development, I have them work through how we're actually developing and bringing products to life, clothing to life. In my leadership class, we talk a lot about different leadership styles and approaches and how to be nimble. We go over lots of, SWOT analysis and Porter's 5 forces, all sorts of things to help arm you for the future.
And as an entrepreneur and a successful business owner and a business professor, how important is old-fashioned customer service?
Customer service,
and resolving problems.
Yeah, it all comes down to that connection with the customer, right? And making them feel like they're being taken care of. And I think about that all the time. As there's a lot of places people can buy right now. I think about, Amazon is obviously everybody's competitor. When I like to think, we do handwritten notes for our cards, and we try to, get back to people super quick if they have a question or a problem with an order. And those are things that I think you can really handle with a small business. And then, of course, in person, it's the personal touch of the, speaking and seeing the customers. And I get a lot of inspiration from my customers as well. So it's definitely a two-way street.
And you're trying to help them. You're going to help them to find that unique gift and get it delivered to their customer in time. What's the recipient in time?
Absolutely. Yeah, we've been doing shopping appointments at the store, but also virtual shopping appointments. You can book a shopping appointment online with me, and we go around the store and show you what you might need. And there's a lot of things that came up in everybody's going to have a birthday in some sort of quarantine or pandemic, and we're trying to make those and so many holidays, right? Trying to make those events as special as possible. So finding the right thing and making a meaningful connection through it.
And the WinWin Experience, could you just explain what that means?
Well, I guess I'm saying like the customer is getting what they want. They're getting, a meaningful gift, as you say, and something that what I love most in hearing from customers is like, oh my gosh, all the gifts that we gave at Christmas or all the gifts I gave for birthday that came from your store were the hit, were the ones that everybody loved the most. And so then they feel really good. And it helps our community and it helps our the small independent businesses and, by supporting them, and then the customers are happy, the people that are getting it is happy. It's a win all around.
And you've also gained a customer for life.
I would like
because of that experience.
So, yeah, I would like.
You want the experience to be good for you, for the customer, and for the recipient of the gift.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the triple bottom line, could you just explain what that is?
Yeah, well, the reason that what are most companies in business for profit, to make profit. But the triple bottom line is a balanced, different approach where we're not just looking at profitability. We're also measuring other things that are part of our world, a more stakeholder approach versus a shareholder approach. So in the triple bottom line, we're not just looking at profitability. And I actually might change that to prosperity instead of profits. Prosperity for all, not just profit for the one person at the top of the pyramid, but also the planet, making sure that we're doing and buying things that are good for our world at large. And then also the people. So I want to make sure, when we're looking at making sure our workers, our teammates, everyone in our supply chain is being paid fairly and treated well.
And also, as you mentioned before, you want the gift, the giver, and the recipient to have a pleasurable experience too.
Absolutely.
What are some other trends that you think will evolve because of COVID in the world that you're teaching, as you're training new entrepreneurs in the customer experience and the entrepreneurial experience?
I think a lot of things that have come up during the pandemic. Certainly the workplace is changing, right? I think a lot of businesses are going to maybe relook at their leases if they haven't already. And certainly if they do keep their lease space, they'll obviously make it a smaller footprint. And then I think about all the businesses that are around in those areas and what that's going to mean to them. Some things that I noticed in our store, people in my neighborhood that didn't even know we had a website, now, buy curbside and still buying curbside, but maybe even as things continue and stores fully open and we're back to normal and things are better all around, I think that some of that is still going to stick. Like, oh, I know that Annie's going to run out of, toilet paper ornament. That was a big hit for holiday, right? The toilet paper ornament. I'm going to reserve one online. I see they have one and I'll just pick it up later. And I think some of those things are definitely going to stick. I think that in general, people are going to be more cautious and cognizant of where they're purchasing things from. I really think that as much as I am been preaching and talking about the small business movement and how important it is to support our local independent businesses to keep creative energy in our community, I think that people now notice, like, oh wow, that I didn't go to that.
And you are catering to the customer who wants unique, distinct, and yet useful gift, who wants to give it and who wants to receive it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm catering to anyone who, my target market's pretty big. I'll if someone wants to buy something, we'll take it. But I think in general, the people that are really keep coming back to us are the ones that realize the value and significance of that connection that they have to an independent business, as well as like the cool stuff that we offer. I mean, just every day, all day, we're just getting so many people saying, oh my God, I never saw that before, or that's such a cool thing, or I gave that to my mom for Christmas and she loved it, and so now I'm going to come back and buy something else, and again feel good because I'm supporting a independent business along the way as well.
So you're trying to bring the gift giving and the gift receiving business to new levels.
Always.
Okay, and just give us your website again, Anne, for anyone who wants to see how the dimensions of your business or the unique gift items that you have.
Yeah, come check us out at blueribbongeneralstore.com, and you can check us out on Instagram and Facebook at Annie's Blue Ribbon General Store.
And you have your world headquarters in downtown Brooklyn, near Barclays.
Park Slope, yeah.
Which is near Barclays. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, in training your students, you've been teaching a number of years at Fashion Institute of Technology. Do you see any differences from the students you started with years ago to today's student? About their aspirations, their age, their experiences, their background?
Yeah, it's been really interesting to teach. We've now been remote since March, and it's been really interesting to see the engagement. I've had really positive experiences. Well, first of all, I've almost had like perfect attendance, which has been amazing. Maybe it's, and I say, what is it about like class before? And they're like, well, if something came up, I just couldn't come all the way into the city, but now there's no excuse. And I also have really great engagement online. We have a lot of people speaking up in class. And so I feel like students are super engaged. And I guess I've always had that to a fair amount. But I think right now people are really interested, want to learn, and figure out what their next steps are going to be.
And the students that you have and the students at FIT, what do they go on to do?
In fashion business management, most people go on to work as a buyer or a planner, or we go into product development, developing products like shirts, sweaters, tops, you name it. And then also the retail management track, we have that as well. So I actually just hired a full-time, a former student. She had me for 3 classes, and now she is our new manager at the store. She was in the retail track, and really excited to have her on board.
And what does the planner do or learn how to do?
That was one of my first jobs. So a planner actually figures out, allocates like what product is going to go where, and plans out the business. So they're like the checkbook to the buyer or the designer. They're figuring out how much money and planning out the units by style, but also by month, and figuring out, okay, if we need to make $10 million, how are we going to get there? What does that look like?
Now, is someone born with these skills, or they can be learned, or is there a certain type of personality or person who is drawn to these components of fashion and retail merchandising?
I don't know. That's hard to say. I think we can all have our own opinions on that. I think that I am definitely was born a business person. Even when I was, in 5th grade, I think I started like being an entrepreneur, making barrettes and things like that. So I think part of that is in your blood. I also think, if you're really interested in fashion, or really interested in some aspects of that world, then it all kind of rolls up and is something you seek out. I definitely see that as something with our students that they're really, passionate about the fashion world. But I don't know. I'm also a believer that you can learn a lot of things if you're interested in learning about them.
And so because of COVID, most courses at FIT are offered remotely, and there's also continuing ed courses for someone who just wants to dabble or learn about some aspect of fashion or the other or business or the other areas covered by FIT. They can just do it without leaving their home. Right.
All classes are remote.
But someone could learn more about it without just getting a degree. They could just take a course to see how they like it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, you can take through the continuing ed department. They offer courses like that. I'm in the undergrad department, so our classes are for credit. But in the continuing ed department, you can take one-off classes or small series of classes, or even certificate programs.
I just want to remind listeners that you're listening to Ann Cantrell. She is the owner of the Ann's Blue Ribbon General Store in downtown Brooklyn near Barclays Center. She also oversees a giant retail business with gifts from all over the world, unique gifts from all over the world. And she is a professor at the Fashion Institute of Technology, helping people to learn about management and merchandising. What do you think the world will be like for retail and fashion after COVID? How will it be different? How will it be the same?
Well, I think people always love going to stores. I don't think stores are going away. Neil Blumenthal, who started Warby Parker, he said this a while ago, but he said, retail is not dead, just bad retail is dead. So I think that there's been, due to, many different issues, so many different things, even before COVID, we've seen the end of a lot of stores. We actually have been overstored too, compared to other parts of the world. We had too many stores. But I think that what's really exciting is the opportunity and all the new business models that you can just start you don't even need a physical presence. You can open an Instagram account, start texting people, sell through Instagram, just, download an app, collect a comment sold, and, sell that way. There's a lot of different approaches to business now. And I think, to see what sticks or what resonates with different people about how they want to pursue things in the future.
And so you're pursuing all of them with your unique products. Someone can look at them in person, someone can look at them on the web, and someone can, get the next hot item or that unique gift for that special person.
Of course. Yeah. I just think multiple revenue streams are really important right now. We have something else that started in our Brooklyn called Cinch. I think they recently rebranded. But they are they call themselves the everything store of Brooklyn. And so they are, if you order before a certain time and spend a certain amount of money, they'll do free delivery. And they are getting, they're saying shop Brooklyn, not Bezos. And, getting all different stores on their platform. And so it's just exciting things like that are happening that are connecting people in different ways.
Okay, just give us your retail address again and your web address.
We are at blueribbongeneralstore.com, and we are at 232 Fifth Avenue between President and Carroll in Park Slope, Brooklyn.
Which is near Atlantic Terminal and Barclays Center.
And
people are encouraged to visit you online or in person.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're following safety measures here. But we're always open online. And I think, as I said, our Instagram, which is Annie's Blue Ribbon General Store, Annie's Blue Ribbon General Store, you can really see our fun personality shine through.
And you can help someone give unique gifts that are meaningful to a special someone or for a special occasion.
Absolutely.
I'd like to thank Ann Cantrell, professor and entrepreneur, for being our guest on Law You Should Know, 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. Please join us next week at this same time for another program on Law You Should Know, or go to our website to hear this program or other programs about law at nccradio.org.